The Smith Wesson Model 29 isn't just a revolver, it's a piece of American firearms history. After Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry turned it into an icon, the gun earned its legendary status. But how much do you really know about the Model 29? You probably already knew that it wasn't truly the most powerful handgun in the world in 1971, but did you know the kinds of cartridges it inspired? And can it still hold its own against modern Magnums? In this video, we'll talk about the Model 29's unexpected origins, the ammo that made it famous, why certain factory loads are too much for it to handle, and even some luxury European revolvers that take the .44 Magnum concept to the extreme. If you thought the Model 29 was just another big-bore wheel gun, stick around. You're in for some surprises. Elmer Keith was the driving force behind the .44 Magnum long before movie heroes made it famous. He believed handguns could handle more punch than folks realized, so he pushed the .44 Special to new levels of performance. He wanted something that could handle big game while staying accurate and practical. His early experiments involved hot-loading the .44 Special with heavier bullets at higher velocities, a bold move back when factory ammo was usually mild. He spent years writing and talking to manufacturers about a dedicated high-pressure .44 caliber cartridge. Remington eventually took notice, and instead of simply hot-loading the .44 Special, created the .44 Remington Magnum with a longer case. That extra length kept folks from accidentally chambering the round in old revolvers that weren't up to the task. Smith & Wesson made the first revolver for the new round in 1955, naming it simply the .44 Magnum. It later became the Model 29. In its early years, it found favor mainly among handgun hunters and hardcore enthusiasts. Then Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry film in 1971 turned the Model 29 into an overnight sensation, and the rest, as they say, is history. The .44 Special served as the stepping stone for the .44 Magnum, even though it often went unnoticed outside small circles of enthusiasts. Its factory ammo was mild, usually a .246 grain lead bullet at underwhelming velocities. Elmer Keith saw untapped potential and pushed it beyond factory limits with his handloads. Other writers like Skeeter Skelton praised the .44 Special's accuracy, though some, like Charles Askins, felt it was pointless. The .44 Special's real performance hinged on how well revolvers were made. Poorly machined chamber mouths and forcing cones could ruin anyone's day, no matter how great the cartridge might be. It never had the widespread success of other famous calibers, especially after bigger Magnums arrived. When factory loads finally improved in the 1980s, many rounds still fell short of promised velocities. By that time, the .44 Magnum was taking over the spotlight. The .44 Special still survives due to handloaders and niche ammunition makers like Buffalo Bore. They offer heavier loads that can push a .255 grain bullet at around 1,000 feet per second. While it won't keep pace with full-power Magnums, it shows the .44 Special can handle respectable velocities when properly loaded. There's no doubt the .44 Magnum has always had a reputation for brute force, but factory ammo can vary widely. Early loads generated jaw-dropping energy, yet over the years, some manufacturers offered softer options that didn't quite match the cartridge's fierce image. Standard rounds such as Remington's .240 grain SJHP are still formidable, though some feel they don't reach the fiery performance of the original vintage loads. Companies like Korth and Buffalo Bore have taken the .44 Magnum back to its extremes. Buffalo Bore, in particular, loads heavier bullets to velocities many thought impossible for a factory offering. Their rounds can produce energy on par with smaller rifle cartridges. Those +P+ loads are brutal and not recommended for every revolver. Buffalo Bore lists which models can handle that pressure. Guns like the Ruger Red Hawk and Colt Anaconda are cleared, while the Smith & Wesson Model 29 is not. Even powerful firearms require caution with those monstrous loads. Recoil can be punishing, and constant use in a revolver not built for it can be damaging. For most shooters, standard factory .44 Magnum remains plenty strong, but if raw power is the goal, Buffalo Bore's approach proves the .44 Magnum's potential is far from tapped out. Modern bullet engineering can transform the already powerful .44 Magnum into an even more versatile performer. Lehigh Defense's .220 grain Extreme Penetrator is a prime example. Instead of expanding like a hollow point, it maintains a solid copper profile that drills deep while creating a serious wound channel. The fluting on the nose is designed to cause turbulence in soft targets without relying on any typical expansion. Ballistic gel testing has shown that velocity, barrel length, and bullet design all play major roles in performance. A lever-action rifle might launch this round at over 1,500 feet per second, producing a deep cavity in the gel. Revolvers with barrel lengths from 3 inches up to 9.5 inches see varying penetration depths and wound channel shapes, but the bullet generally stays intact regardless of impact velocity. Some shooters lean on such loads for backwoods defense against large predators, while others favor them for unique personal defense options. As mentioned earlier, Buffalo Bore's scorching +P+ loads are among the strongest around, but not every revolver can survive that punishment. Ruger's Red Hawk and Super Red Hawk, Freedom Arms Model 83, and Colt's Anaconda are built with enough steel and engineering to manage the extra stress. The Smith Wesson Model 29, despite its fame, wasn't designed to handle that level of pressure. Heavy loads over time can accelerate wear or damage components, which is why Buffalo Bore excludes most Smith & Wessons from its +P+ list. Even in the right revolver, these loads produce intense recoil and muzzle blast. The Red Hawk can safely drive a 340 grain bullet at speeds few believed possible for a handgun. That ballistic performance equals or surpasses some cartridges people traditionally associate with rifles. For the average shooter, standard or mildly hot .44 Magnum ammo is enough for most needs, whether it's hunting medium game or personal protection. Those who chase maximum energy do so knowing they need to buy guns built for that extreme pressure. The Model 29 remains iconic, but anyone looking to shoot Buffalo Bore's +P +44 Magnum loads might prefer a tank-like Ruger or another big-frame option that won't flinch under constant battering. Smith & Wesson didn't call its first .44 Magnum the Model 29 right away. In 1955, it was simply the .44 Magnum. Collectors now refer to those initial revolvers as pre-29s. They arrived during an era when America was fascinated by powerful machines and technological triumphs. Smith & Wesson wanted to craft the strongest factory revolver possible, and the early production models were built to incredibly high standards. These revolvers had 5-screw frames and meticulous hand-fitting. Elmer Keith, who had a pivotal role in conceptualizing the .44 Magnum, praised how precisely these new guns were made. Pre-29s are highly sought after by collectors because of their craftsmanship and rarity. Early examples often show off details like countersunk chambers and matching serial numbers on multiple parts. Some had a particular trigger guard shape from earlier designs. Each revolver felt slightly different since a lot of the fitting was done by hand. Over time, Smith & Wesson shifted to more automated processes, so those early guns became prime collector pieces. If you ever handle one, it's easy to see why people spend a fortune on them. Smith & Wesson's Model 29 inspired plenty of imitators and spin-offs, but few are as luxurious as the German-made Korth Callahan. Brought to the US by Nighthawk Custom, it's a premium tribute to Dirty Harry's famous sidearm. Whereas the Model 29 was always intended for broad appeal, the Korth Callahan is pure extravagance. A black DLC finish gives it a mirror-like shine, while the trigger and hammer receive a case-hardened finish for a nod to classic styling. Gold inlays and a gold bead front sight add flair that the original 29 never had. Beneath the flash, it's still a working .44 Magnum. The 7.5-inch barrel is hammer-forged and promises fine accuracy. Korth's cylinder release and overall build demonstrate modern engineering paired with old-world craftsmanship. Weighing in at over 3 pounds, the revolver tames recoil but isn't exactly subtle. It's designed for those who want the ultimate high-end version of a classic design, and that exclusivity shows in its price tag of nearly $9,000. Most folks would balk at spending that much on a wheelgun, yet some prefer an artisanal approach to firearms. If Dirty Harry had a winning lottery ticket, maybe he'd have carried this instead of his trusty Smith & Wesson. Anyone shocked by the Korth Callahan's price hasn't looked into Janz. He type EM number EM0061 in .44. Magnum can run around $14,800, far beyond what most would pay. This German firm started out supplying parts for Korth, eventually taking over and pushing revolver designs to new heights. Imported by Cabot Guns, Janz offers models with swappable cylinders and barrels, but this particular Type EM is a dedicated .44 Magnum. Craftsmanship is off the charts. The barrel, frame, and cylinder are mirror polished to a level that could impress any collector. Titanium nitride is used on small parts and the trigger, providing durability and a touch of style. The trigger itself is adjustable for weight, and the action is smoother than many custom shop revolvers. This is not a production line item. It's built with painstaking attention to detail for folks who appreciate mechanical artistry as much as ballistic performance. Janz is known for releasing revolvers that can handle a variety of calibers, from .22 to .500 Smith Wesson, but even the specialized .44 Magnum offering demonstrates the pinnacle of high-end engineering. It's far from mainstream, and that's exactly its appeal, an expression of what can be done when money isn't an issue and refinement is the main goal. Spohr is another German company that caters to those seeking a premium revolver outside the usual brand names. The N670 is built on a frame size between L and N, making it a bit more compact than a large frame .44 while still offering robust construction. Available in various barrel lengths, it allows shooters to tailor the setup for everything from concealed carry to precision target work. The craftsmanship is obvious in every detail, from the wire-cut, hardened hammer and trigger to the neatly numbered chambers. Like Korth and Janz, Spohr uses no MIM components, relying instead on machined and fitted steel parts. The Neil grips add another layer of customization, creating a comfortable hold that feels miles beyond basic factory grips. Sights can be upgraded to fiber optic or different styles, and a black tactical finish is available for a more modern look. Compared to other luxury revolvers, the N670 starts around €3,550 or about $3,700, which makes it far more affordable than the five-figure Janz models or even Korth's Callahan. Spohr wants to produce a revolver that delivers top-notch accuracy and premium build quality without tipping into impossible price territory. The Model 29 remains the enduring American icon, but the Spohr N670 offers an intriguing route for shooters who want to try European precision while still enjoying the .44 Magnum's power. The Smith Wesson Model 29 reigns as the classic .44 Magnum revolver, but Dan Wesson's 7445 in .445 Super Mag goes beyond that. This cartridge is an elongated .44 Magnum, built for silhouette shooting and long-range power. Elgin Gates championed it to achieve higher velocities than standard .44 Magnum loads. Dan Wesson's take on the Super Mag included revolvers that offered interchangeable barrels, so shooters could switch lengths for different uses. One noteworthy 7445 came with 3 barrels, 2 at nearly 10 inches and another at 8, making it versatile for target shooting or hunting big game. That extended barrel and extra powder space let it crush steel targets and take down larger animals more reliably. A 240 grain bullet can break 1,700 feet per second, which is serious territory even for a Magnum revolver. The heavy frame, porting, and long sight radius help control recoil, a key factor when dealing with such a potent round. These revolvers aren't as famous as the Model 29, but collectors pay attention, especially to scarce combinations of barrels and accessories. Dan Wesson's 7445 proves the .44 Magnum concept can be pushed harder, and it gives enthusiasts an alternative for Magnum performance that goes beyond the norm. Anyone who wants even more firepower than a standard Model 29 might find the .445 Super Mag pretty tempting, especially if long-range accuracy is part of the equation. But that's all we have for you in this video. The Model 29 remains a cornerstone of big-bore Magnum revolvers. We've also looked at high-end alternatives like the Korth Callahan, the ultra-rare Janz type EM0061, the utilitarian Spohr N670, and the old powerhouse known as the Dan Wesson .445 Super Mag. Were there any other juicy Model 29 tidbits we might have missed? Would you happen to own any of the revolvers we mentioned in this video? Sound off in the comments. And while you're down there, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more firearms content. Thanks for watching.